Welcome to Wander MB, an exploration into the stories and sounds from where Canada's heart beats. Please, make yourself comfortable, maybe in your favorite chair with a warm cup of tea in hand. Now, close your eyes, take a deep breath, and allow us to lull you into a relaxed state of mind with the sounds of some of Manitoba's most incredible adventures. Tonight, we're camping under the stars in the peaceful Nopiming Provincial Park. Okay, let's begin. Is this your first time in the backcountry? Maybe you're used to provincial campgrounds with their well-groomed sites, park offices, beaches, and playgrounds. This is a little different. To get to this campsite, we'll be hiking an hour into the woods, which means packing only the essentials. And we left a little later than expected. But don't worry, there will be plenty of daylight left to set up camp once we arrive. So, how was your week? Think of this walk as a chance to reflect, ponder, and process all that's happened in these past days. Was it stressful? Agitating? Frustrating? Take a moment to notice each emotion as it arises. Without judgment, take note of where the emotion settles in your body. You can easily identify how frustration makes your face feel hot, or how stress makes your shoulders tense. Next, observe how, as you focus on a thought, it vanishes just as quickly as it came to be. When we look closer at our flow of consciousness, we recognize that we can choose what we want to focus on and for how long, simply by being aware of it. What you pay attention to is what you experience. You've taken a chance on getting away from it all, accepting an invitation to venture into one of Manitoba's most spectacular provincial parks. With so many beautiful views to admire and take in, the hike passes quickly, and soon enough, we have arrived at the campsite. It's not much, but it's home for a few days. It turns out, tents aren't that hard to set up when one follows the instructions. A well-built fire will be needed to ward off bugs and curious wildlife, as well as for warmth and cooking. We will take just what is needed. We split logs into smaller pieces of wood And as the hatchet strikes down again and again, the chopping turns into a hypnotic motion. And the stack grows and grows. Everything is set up just in time as the sun peaks below the horizon. The air's chilly as night settles in, but the fire is roaring. Once all the daylight has left and the moon hangs heavy in the sky, nature slows and becomes still. Crickets sing softly into the night, and the wind all but stops as critters of all shapes and sizes nestle into their dens for a long night's rest. Except, of course, those nocturnal creatures that are just beginning to rise. The campsite is situated close to the lake, and as you listen closely, you can hear gentle waters steadily lapping up onto the shoreline. Our lives grow, change, and expand, but we always find our way back to the same place every summer, our quiet little spot in the backcountry. As far as I know, this spot is only used by family and close friends, like you. I started camping here with my dad, probably a little sooner than I was ready for. But it was exciting. I got to pack a small knapsack with only 1 or 2 toys and head out for a full weekend with Dad. I felt wild, untamed, and sometimes I was. It's no wonder that Mom would sometimes worry on weekends such as this. I was allowed to run along granite ridges and climb up the tallest of trees, as long as I made it back for dinner. I touched nearly every bit of nature, for better or worse. I remember the damp feeling of moss under my fingertips, catching the dew from a leaf on my tongue just to see how it felt, and of course, one memorable encounter with poison ivy. On one summer weekend, I decided I would build a fort in the woods. I spent all morning gathering twigs and logs that had been split from the trees. My dad let me bring along some nails and a hammer for the project. And although I had very little handy skills, the fort was coming together, slowly but surely. My folly occurred when it came to putting the finishing touches on my masterpiece. I set out to gather a collection of leaves and grasses for the roof of the structure. You can probably guess where this is going. While my father was rather lenient when it came to my freedom while camping, I was not permitted to stay in the fort overnight. Back to the tent for me. The next morning, I woke up to a peculiar rash on both my hands and my legs. It was a lesson learned entirely on my own, and one that itched for 2 weeks straight. There's a lot of things you can learn as a kid in the woods. The clear difference between a loon call and a wolf howl. How to sleep comfortably on the ground. And how to not poke around random plants in the forest, even if they are for your very cool fort. Sorry if I've put you to sleep with my story. It's easy to drift off out here. In fact, I've had some of the best sleeps of my life under the stars. Would you like some hot chocolate? I can boil the water and get everything ready, so don't worry about lifting a finger. Do you see that crooked W of stars to the northeast? That's Cassiopeia, made up of 5 bright stars and named after a vain queen in Greek mythology. Keep looking and you'll see the bordering constellations of Cepheus, Andromeda, and Perseus. It's amazing how many stars you can see on a clear night like tonight, when you're so far away from the light pollution of cities and towns. It always reminds me of how vast our universe is, and how, as we stargaze here on Earth, we are actually looking back in time. What I mean is, the stars we are seeing now are so far from us that the light needs to travel for a very long time to reach our eyes. Because of the finite speed of light, we are seeing stars as they once were, from before we were even born. I think this is all to say we are rather small in this universe, existing in one place and time. It's comforting, really, to realize that if we scaled down the entire timeline of the universe into a single calendar year, the entire recorded history of human life would only be 14 seconds. Isn't that amazing? The fire has died down now, and the crackling embers are all that remain. I'll take care of the fire while you get ready for a night's rest. How do you feel about rising bright and early for a trip to Tulubi Falls? I know a few lakes along the way that I think you'll enjoy. Sleep well.